way that if the order for buying, if to buy is filled, you cancel the one for sell. That depends a lot on if you get into the market, how do you want to get out? And I don't know that you necessarily want to say, my strategy is to wait for the predicted high, after seeing the predicted low, because there may be reasons that it will never get there, and so you have to, I think, be a little bit more flexible in that and kind of go with what the market will give you. Okay. I don't know that I see any more questions here. A lot of times as I look at the markets, we know the market has been very volatile, and sometimes, market opens up with a bang. Maybe there's news overnight, and sometimes you have the situation like we did a couple of days ago where in that last hour it just goes crazy and moves way to the top of the range. I prefer the middle of the trade. I try not to, if I were in a situation where I were initiating a trade, would not initiate it in the last hour or so, because I don't know that it has the time to, to make the move that we need to make. And also keeping in mind that in the case of the E-mini and some of the other markets, there's not a lot of time between when you, what you call the end of the day and the start of the next day, simply because of the 24-hour market type aspect. So if there is a possibility, and again, I'm not adverse to being, if I see, something that looks like a trend trade going on, and potentially, I'm not married to being an intraday trader. I might just hang in there and try to be a trader, a trend trader, and take advantage of the move as it comes along. So a lot of different ways to trade on an intraday market basis. The key, I think, is to be able to have something that you can use as a tool to give you some guidelines as to where to trade, where to get out, kind of what you can use to help. And that's where as I said earlier, that's where I like to use Vantage Point, because it gives me some concrete numbers, some points of reference for which I can take some action. Well, I'm about at my end of my time.
Darrell, I'm sorry, Darrell. You have a couple of questions in the chat window here that I wanted to be sure that these guys got answers for. You may not have seen them. From Bob, he was asking, how soon ahead are you looking at indicators? 4 p.m. the day before, 6 p.m., etc.?
Okay. In the case of the E-mini, it depends when the trading day starts. Most of the indicators, when you're talking about the indicators, like the downloads that you get from Vantage Point, at least in my area, it's 5:30 p.m. So you really don't have that information, immediately at hand as the market is opening, because I am not exactly sure on the time frame as to when the E-mini opens for, a given day. As I say, it's on the afternoon before the actual date. And that probably I'm talking about looking more at the 6 p.m. time frame, because that's when I have my new data for the next day, and I can then make my determination based upon the data that I have. So probably starting at 6 p.m. Ideally, if I could have my data earlier, I might look to the beginning of the day, but the beginning of the day quite often is kind of back and forth type action, a little bit more meaningless in terms of the big picture for the day. So I'd say 6 p.m. probably is the time frame.
Okay, and your next question is from Maria. She's asking, the market has been volatile on both ends of the day sometimes, moving from top to bottom of the range. How do you deal with that? Do you have a time to trade?
Well, as I mentioned with the 24-hour market, sometimes that top is at 2:45 a.m., sometimes it's in the regular trading day. If I had my druthers, I'd like to have it set up so that it trades during the regular trading day, so I don't have to stay up all night. But I don't really dictate what the market's going to do. So, you kind of have to be, as I said, flexible. And sometimes, if you don't get that trade, maybe you miss the trade in the overnight trading, then you have to adapt and come up with, another solution, and maybe look only at the hours in which you're willing to trade as for, the highs and the lows during that time period. I really prefer that it happened between the 8:30 and 3 p.m. in my time reference, my central time zone, because that's when the most activity is. But I know that doesn't answer the question about volatility, because obviously we want some volatility. We want it to go from the end of the one extreme to the other, because that's how you make the money in the intraday trade. The only thing that we need to know is, are we in the position in the right way? If we're moving from top to bottom, are we short, or vice versa? We have to be ready to be in the market at the time the market gives us that price.
Okay, thank you. Jim is wondering how many point stops would you use on lumber?
Well, first of all, I guess I don't know that I would trade lumber. I don't think it's an intraday market. It's barely what I would say the volume and everything is rather thin. And I really don't look at lumber that much, but I don't think even on a trend trading type of technique that's the best market probably for a trader to trade, an individual trader. As I say, if somebody can make lumber work, that's more power to them, but it's not a market that I would be looking at very carefully from my standpoint.
Thank you, Darrell. Okay. Question Q is clear.
Okay. I do see there was one question about the predicted high and low for the next 24 hours or the next trading day. I'm going to let whoever would like to know that maybe can contact the Vantage Point folks to make sure about this, but I believe it's for the next trading day. But whoever asked that question, you probably should ask that one, direct that one to the Vantage Point folks. As I say, my download for my data comes at 5:30. And I'm looking at that as my next day signal, and the next day, may start at 6 p.m., going all the way until 3 p.m. to close the next, on the date of the actual day. So, but call the Vantage Point folks to make sure that that information is correct. Okay, well, I do want to just reemphasize that we do have a lot of webinars in the archives at the TraderPlanet.com website. We've got more coming up. And, it's kind of interesting to always present these because you have to study the markets, and that's what everybody should be doing, studying the markets. Take some of these concepts and some of these ideas. As I say, intraday trading is not the one that I would normally, be following myself as much as I would some other types of things, but that's something that perhaps there's some information that you can get that will help you set up a trading strategy of your own, and that definitely is what you should do, is work out your own trading and bring these concepts into whatever fits you. So I do thank you for attending today's webinar. Look forward to seeing you at webinars in the future. Darla, turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Darrell. The recording for this webcast will be posted on Trader Planet within the next 24 hours, and we will be emailing the link for the recording to you. If you are interested in seeking further information on Vantage Point intermarket analysis software, we urge you to contact our friends at Market Technologies, the makers of Vantage Point, via the phone number on your screen. This concludes today's presentation. Thank you for attending, and all of us here at Trader Planet wish you a pleasant evening.